Ladies and gentlemen, the Royal Australian here. The time has come. That's right, ladies and gentlemen. This is Legacy of the Duelist Link Evolution. Yu-Gi-Oh! Legacy of the Duelist Link Evolution. This is a first time walkthrough for this game. I tried it and then deleted my local and cloud saved PlayStation data so I could start the game again. Oh boy, ladies and gents. It's about to get serious. But first up, I'm going to turn off the music. I'm going to change this to Pro because I know how to play the game. Okay. We're going to go through the tutorial. And you're going to learn how to play the game with me. Hello there, this is Informed Mate. I'm here to teach you about the rules of dueling. Alright, let the lesson begin. Pay attention now. A duel is a card game fought using various cards. Pardon me. This tutorial will explain the duel screen and the different kinds of cards there are. The screen where a duel takes place is split into two parts, one side for you and one side for your opponent. Both sides are identical, they are only reversed, so they are facing the player. The bottom half of the screen is your side of the field. The top half of the screen is your opponent's side of the field. Each field has specific areas to place cards. First, the monster zone. This is where the monsters are summoned during a duel are placed. Monsters are placed here. They can battle. Next, the spell and trap zone. This is where you can place spell and trap cards when you use them during a duel. Next, the graveyard. Monsters that are destroyed as a result of battle and spell and trap cards that have been used are placed here. Cards placed in a graveyard can be viewed by either player. Next, the deck set. You can place your deck here, upside down. You place your deck here, upside down. A deck is a stack of cards you use during a duel. In this game, the size of your deck can be anywhere from 40 to 60 cards. You can create a deck using the deck edit screen, add cards with various effects to make duels more exciting. Next, the banish zone. Cards that are banished as a result of other cards' effects are placed here. Cards placed here generally cannot be used again in a duel. Next, the field zone. This is where you place field spell cards, which have special effects. For an example of field spell cards, see Chapter 7, various spell and trap cards. Next, the extra deck zone. This is where you place a deck made of Fusion Monster, Synchro Monster, Exceeds Monster, and Link Monster cards. Although that is not entirely correct. It's almost completely correct. Except that is also where you place Fusion Pendulum, Synchro Pendulum, and Exceeds Pendulum monsters, along with Pendulum monsters, either effect versions or normal Pendulum monsters as well, when they go to die. Unless the summons are negated and they go to the graveyard. We want to use a Fusion Monster, Synchro Monster, Exceeds Monster, or Link Monster, or either of the other monsters that I just mentioned. During a duel, you'll need to make an extra deck using the deck edit screen. Next, we have the Pendulum Zones. When you have an active Pendulum Monster card as a spell card, you place it face up in this space. Pendulum Monster cards can count towards the 5-card limit of your spell and trap zone or monster zone in this game. Next, let's look at the different kinds of cards there are. Cards that are used during a duel can be divided into 3 major types based on their color. These are monster cards, spell cards, and trap cards. Cards that are yellow, orange, violet, white, blue, black, or dark blue are monster cards. Monster cards are divided into 8 kinds based on their color. Any of these monsters can battle and attack your opponent. Next, let's look at the green colored spell cards. Spell cards can help you out with various effects because these cards are different. Be sure to read the text of each new spell card you obtain. Finally, let's look at the purple colored trap cards. That's not purple, that's actually pink, but okay. Trap cards have the ability to surprise the opponent by disrupting their attacks and strategies. Most trap cards are activated in response to an activation taken by your opponent. Remember the difference between monster cards, spell cards, trap cards, and the different places on the field and explain in this chapter. That concludes my lesson on card types. I had a look at the screen. These are fundamentals of dueling. Well then, till next time, dismissed. Alright. Hello there, this is Infinite. This is Informate. This time, let's go over game flow. Let's look at how the game is played. Before the actual duel begins, a game of rock, paper, scissors is played. The winner decides if they go first. Excuse me. The winner decides if they go first or second. Once the order is decided, the screen will change to the actual duel screen and the duel begins. First, each player draws 5 cards from the deck. These 5 cards are a player's starting hand. Cards that are used during a duel are mainly played from the hand. Mainly played from your hand. So your chance to take over a duel comes when you draw a powerful card. In a duel, both players alternate performing actions. The order in which this happens is called a turn. At the end of your turn, at the beginning of your turn, pick up the top card of your deck. This is called a draw. The player who goes first does not draw during the draw phase of their first turn. After drawing 1 card, you have a monster card in your hand. You can place it on the field. Monster cards are placed in a monster zone. Normal summon is the action of placing a monster on the field. You can only normal summon 1 monster per turn. Even if you have a lot of monster cards in your hand, you can only normal summon 1 monster at a turn, so make sure to summon the right one. That is not entirely correct. Normally, you'd be able to normal summon only 1 monster per turn. Unless the card effect states otherwise. Summoning a monster in face-up attack position is when you place a monster on the field vertically. This is explained in detail in Chapter 4. There are only 5 monster card zones in your side of the field. If you have a monster in all 5 of these monster card zones, you cannot summon another monster, so be careful. Okay, try summoning a monster. This is a time when normally you would want to attack a monster, but the player that goes first in the duel has an advantage. So for the first turn only, they cannot attack. Now that you summon a monster, end your turn. Open the phase menu and select End Phase from the menu. Pressing the End Phase will end your turn. The word phase will be explained in the next chapter. A duel is carried out with both players taking turns like you just did. This concludes the general game flow of a duel. Next time we'll explain game flow in detail. This is too fundamental, so take out a pen and paper if you need to. Well then, till next time, dismissed. Attacking phases and damage. Hello there, this is Informate. Informate. Let's get to the lesson. Try to keep up. The previous chapter explained the game flow and how to summon a monster. This chapter will have you summon a monster, assuming this is not the first turn. Now let's go over a turn and its phases. If you remember, a turn is the order in which players alternate performing actions. A turn is divided into 6 phases. Actually, technically it's not, but okay. Each phase has subphases called steps. You can only do certain things during each phase. The current phase is displayed here on the screen. The first phase is the draw phase. The player whose turn it is, the turn player, draws 1 card from the top of their deck. Unless specified by a special card's effect, the player must draw 1 card. If a player has no cards left in their deck and are unable to duel, they lose the duel. Next is the standby phase. Normally, nothing happens during this phase. For a detailed explanation of the standby phase, see Chapter 8 about phases. There you go. Next is the main phase. The main phase after the standby phase is called the main phase 1. The main phase after the battle phase is called the main phase 2. Although they have different names, they are the same. During your main phase, you can summon a monster, use spell cards, etc. The battle phase is in between main phase 1 and 2. The battle phase is where you can attack using monsters faced upon the field. You do not have to battle, so you can skip this phase if you like. Also, the previous chapter explained, the player that goes first, the first time in the duel, cannot enter the battle phase. The last phase is the end phase. When you want to end your turn, select the end phase. For a detailed explanation of this phase, see Chapter 8 about phases. Okay. Try to battle with a monster. You need to select battle phase in the phase menu to battle. Attack with a monster. Each monster in face up attack position can attack once. Unless the card effect states otherwise. Pretty sure you guys were able to read that. I missed it. Your opponent's monster is destroyed and your opponent receives battle damage. The amount of battle damage your opponent takes is taken out of their life points. A player's current life points is displayed here at the top of the screen. Top right and bottom left of your screen. This number represents your health. Both players begin the duel with 8,000 life points. You win the duel if you reduce your opponent's life points to 0. Now let's take a look at how a battle is decided. When a monster with attack position battles, it uses its attack power. Attack. When two monsters in attack position battle, the monster with a lower attack is destroyed and sent to the graveyard, unless a card effect states otherwise. Additionally, the difference in the attack is taken out of the losing player's life points, unless a card effect states otherwise. In the previous battle, your attacking monster had 800 attack. The monster being attacked had 500 attack. As a result of battle, your opponent's King of the Swamp had less attack, so it was destroyed. Battle damage is calculated like this: 800 minus 500 equals 300. Therefore, your opponent lost 300 life points. Your opponent's life points was originally 8,000. 8,000 minus 300 equals 7,700. So your opponent now has 7,700 life points. Quite obvious math there, ladies and gentlemen. There is still another monster on your field that has not attacked. There are no monsters on your opponent's side of the field. When your opponent has no monsters, your monster can attack them directly. This is called a direct attack. During a direct attack, the attacking monster's attack is taken from your opponent's life points. Try to direct attack your opponent. The attacking monster's attack is taken from your opponent's life points. 7,700 minus 800 equals 6,900. So your opponent now has 6,900 life points. Okay, what happens when two monsters have the same amount of attack and battle each other? That depends on the card effect. But in this case, both were destroyed. As you can see, both monsters were destroyed and sent to the graveyard. 1,200 minus 1,200 equals 0, so neither player loses any life points. Attack like this to reduce your opponent's life points. Reduce your opponent's life points to 0 to win the duel. Also, you win the duel if your opponent cannot draw a card from the deck, or by using a special card's effect. One famous example of this kind of card is Exodi the Forbidden One. If you can assemble all 5 cards in your hand, you win the duel. This time I'll explain the battle phase, in other words, how to battle. Battle is the core of dueling, and it's where strategy is essential. How well things go all depends on you. Well then, till next time, dismissed. We're going to go all the way through this, ladies and gents. Ooh, doggy! DHL is on its way with my brand new phone, ladies and gentlemen. Moving on. Hello there. This is Infinite. Thank you. Well then, let's begin. Chapter 3 explained attack position. This chapter will explain the other position, defense position. The word battle position refers to both attack and defense position. Now place a monster in defense position. The monster was placed face down horizontally on the field. This is called face down defense position. A monster is in defense position when horizontal, and attack position when vertical. Placing a monster in defense position from your hand is called a set. As long as there isn't any real special condition, a set monster is placed on the field in face down defense position. A summon monster is in face up attack position, and a set monster is in face down defense position. Now what happens when a monster in defense position battles? When a monster in defense position battles, it uses its defense power. By the way, it all depends on the card effect at the end of the day. When a monster in defense position battles, it uses its defense power. Just like the result of this battle, when a defense position monster is attacked by a monster with an attack higher than its defense, the defense monster is destroyed and sent to the dead, or graveyard. However, neither player lost any life points. That depends on the effect. If it inflicts piercing battle damage, that's a different story. This is the main difference between a battle. Oh well, if a monster attacks a defense position monster but has an effect that states to inflict damage equivalent to the difference between your attacking monster's attack and the opponent's monster's defense, the opponent still takes damage. However, if the card simplifies it to just piercing damage, it inflicts the difference as battle damage to your opponent's life points anyway. So, ladies and gentlemen, that's what this doesn't even explain. But it might later. I'll be right back. Okay, I'm back. However, neither player loses any life points. This is the main difference between... I think I already read that top line. This is the main difference between a battle involving two attack position monsters. When a face-down defense position monster gets attacked, before the battle is conducted, it switches to face-up defense position. Now, how about this? Attack in the same manner as done before. Don't. If the monster being attacked has a higher defense than the attack of the attacking monster, neither monster is destroyed. However, the difference between the defense of the attack... the defense and the attack is dealt to the attacking player. 1000 minus 800 equals 200, so you take 200 points of damage. Now the attack and defense are the same. Try attacking. When the attacking monster's attack is equal to the defense of the defending monster, neither monster is destroyed and neither player loses any life points. That depends on the card effect. Some monsters have the ability to destroy something in defense position just by being in defense position. That's about it. Okay. If an attacking monster's attack is the same as an attack position monster, it is attacking both monsters are destroyed. These two situations are different, so make sure not to confuse them, unless a card effect states otherwise. Now you know the difference between attack and defense position. No matter how high the attack of the attacking monster it is, when a defense position monster is destroyed, there is no damage dealt to the player, unless the card effect states otherwise. A monster is set face down from your hand, so your opponent will not know what card it is. Use this to throw your opponent off. Even if you don't have a monster with a high attack in your hand, you can still get out of tight situations by setting monsters. Make a choice depending on the situation on hand. Now, try changing the battle position of the monster already on the field. As long as it isn't the turn you summoned or set a monster, you can change it from defense position to attack position and vice versa, unless the card effect states otherwise. Final attack orders.exe. Level limit area B.exe. However, you can only change a monster's battle position once per turn, unless the card effect states otherwise. Keep in mind that if you attack with a monster during your battle phase, you cannot change its battle position in main phase 2, unless the card effect states otherwise. Flipping a face-down defense position into face-up attack position is called a flip summon. When changing a face-down defense position monster to attack position, you must flip it over. Flip summon the monster on the field to change its position from face-down defense position to face-up attack position. This concludes my lesson on defense position. The best defense is a good offense. The best defense is a good offense. Doesn't cut it when it comes to dueling. Yeah, it is. Don't forget when you can't attack, you'll need to defend. Well then, until next time, dismissed. Some monsters can open fire in defense mode. So, viewing monster cards. High-level monsters. See? Did you read that effect, ladies and gentlemen? When this card is normal or special summon, you can change its battle position. See? Summon Monk, when it's summoned, it switches itself to defense position. Well. Hello there, this is Informate. Informate. Now then, let's begin. This chapter will explain how to read monster cards. Every card has a name and an illustration. This is where the card description is written. For normal monsters, a description of the monster's personality and characteristics are written. Other monsters have their effect written here. A monster card's attack points and defense points are written here. As explained in the previous chapter, these points are used during battle. Each monster card has a specific attribute. There are 7 attributes a monster can have. There are some card types that only affect monsters of a specific attribute. Sorry, there are some card effects that only affect monsters of a specific attribute. Actually, yes, that is true. A prime example of this is Elemental Hero Chaos. No, not the one that you're thinking of, ladies and gentlemen. Mars Hero Chaos. Sorry, Contrast Hero Chaos. It's treated as an elemental hero monster. Hello, how are you? I'm another one. Please help me. Okay, let's continue. Sorry about that. I was just getting my phone. Anyway, each monster card has a specific type. There are 24 different types of monster a monster can be. There are some card effects that only affect monsters of a specific type. That is true. The number of stars shows the monster's level. In the chapters up until now, you've only used monsters level 4 or below. In order to summon a monster that is level 5 or 6, you must tribute one monster. This is called a tribute. Sending a monster on your side of the field to the graveyard to summon a high-level monster is called a tribute summon. Try to tribute summon a monster. In order to summon a monster that is level 7 or higher, you must tribute 2 monsters, unless the card effect states otherwise. Looking at you, epically thought towers. That is an animation. There are no specific rules in which monsters can be tributed. A monster can be tributed even if it is face up, face down, in attack position, or defense position. Or in the hand, because there are some card effects that allow you to tribute monsters in the hand to activate their effects. That concludes my lesson on one of the methods of summoning a monster tribute summon. Since this is the most basic method of summoning high-level monsters. There are other ways to summon them, I'll explain those later. For then, till next time, dismissed. Spell and trap cards. Hello there, this is Informate. Enough with the formalities, let's begin. Chapter 5 explain monster cards. This chapter will explain spell and trap cards. Spell cards can normally be activated during your main phase and help you out with different effects. Spell cards have many powerful effects like destroying other cards or strengthening monsters. Trap cards will help you out of different effects just like spell cards. The big difference between them is that you can activate trap cards during your opponent's turn. Many spell cards have effects useful for offense, but trap cards have the ability to surprise the opponent by disrupting their attacks and strategies. So do quick play spell cards, and they cannot be activated on the first turn you set them face down. Just like monster cards, spell and trap cards each have a card name and an illustration. Each spell card's activating conditions and effects are provided here. Read each description carefully and follow the instructions. You can scroll through its text using the right stick. Or the down button in this case. Depending on the type of spell or trap card, there may be an icon here. For a detailed explanation, see Chapter 7 of various spell and trap cards. This chapter discusses normal spell cards and normal trap cards. Try activating a spell card. You can activate a spell card directly from your hand, or you can set it from the field then activate it. Now we'll cover how to use trap cards. Before you can activate a trap card, you must set it on the field first. However, that depends on the card. Looking at you, Infinite Impermanence and Evenly Matched. And some other trap cards that allow you to activate them from the hand, depending on the amount of cards you control. Specific cards you control. Before you can activate a trap card, you must set it on the field first. You cannot activate a trap card in the same turn that you set it, but you can activate it at any time after that, starting from the beginning of your opponent's next turn. Try activating a trap card. Try to activate a trap card. Don't. 1. Each time a trap card can be activated, the game will pause and a dialog box will automatically appear. So don't worry about when you can activate a trap card. I've got expert mode on, so I'm not going to get any dialog boxes. Sorry, pro mode boxes. A trap card can I'm not going to get any dialog boxes because I have pro mode activated. A trap card can be used during any turn after the turn it was set, but spell cards generally can only be activated during your main phase after being set. Now, what is the advantage of setting a spell card? First, your opponent does not know what card you set, so you can use that to distract your opponent. Also, if an effect that makes you discard a card from your hand is activated, you do not need to worry about losing any spell cards that you have set on the field. However, there are cards that can destroy set cards set on the field, so use your best judgment when deciding to set a card or not. That concludes my lesson on spell and trap cards. Spell and trap cards. Spell cards and trap cards are equally important. With these cards, you can win a duel without having to battle. So it's only natural you'll want to use these cards. Well then, till next time, dismissed. Various spell and trap cards. Test tape, lol. That was actually a duelist. Ladies and gentlemen, if you read the lore around the test ape card itself, there was actually a monkey in, I believe, the Yu-Gi-Oh series that was actually tested and was able to play the game of Yu-Gi-Oh and summon a bunch of beasts. I think it was just called Subject Test Ape or something in the original series. You'd have to look this up. It's actually a really interesting really interesting episode. I was like, how? What the? What? Yeah, but anyway. Alright. Hey, this is Informate. Anyway, let's begin the lesson, shall we? The previous chapter explained how to use spell and trap cards. Spell and trap cards are divided into a variety of types depending on the effect. Depending on the effect of the spell or trap card, there is an icon here, as written here. First, equip spell cards. These cards allow you to give an extra of effect to one monster. They remain on the field after they are activated. After they are activated, an icon is displayed on the card it is equipped to. Also, when the equipped monster is destroyed, the equipped spell card is also destroyed. Next, continuous spell cards. These cards remain on the field after they have activated and their effect, after the effect continues as long as they remain on the field. Depending on the card, the time it remains on the field may be designated. Continuous trap cards act the same as continuous spell cards. These cards stay on the field after being activated, and their effect continues as long as they remain on the field. And that depends on the trap card. So if it's called the Haunted and you tribute the monster off, yeah, you're going to have to try and trinate that trap card back to your hand. Field spell cards. These cards are different from other spell cards in that they are placed in the field zone when they are activated or set. These cards affect every card on the entire field. Both players can control an active field spell card at the same time. To replace a field spell card you currently control, you may send your field spell card to the field spell to the graveyard in order to play a new one. The old card is not considered to be destroyed. Now, try to use each different spell card. Once you are done using spell cards, end your turn. I will discard this field spell. Target you. Activate you. Activate you. And activate level limit OEB, because why not? Now let's look at the other spells and trap cards. Quick play spell cards are special spell cards that do not have any specific timing. These cards can be activated at any time. You may activate them during your opponent's turn, but you must set the card face down first. Also, you cannot activate the card in the same turn you set it. Counter trap cards are normally activated in response to the activation of other cards, and may have abilities like negating the effects of those cards. These cards have the faster spell speed. For a detailed explanation, see Chapter 12 about chains. Now, try to use these cards. First, use a quick play spell card. Rush Recklessly is set on the field. Now use it in response to your opponent's attack. Select yes. Did you use it effectively? In this situation, this card gives you the advantage by destroying the opponent's monster if activated when your opponent announces an attack. Now, try to use a counter trap card. Go. Magic Jammer is set on the field. Now use it in response to your opponent's spell card. Go. And that concludes my lesson on spell and trap cards. Did I pique your interest in them? Well then, till next time. Dismissed. We only have, let's see here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 to go. About phases. Flower Cardian Light Shower. That's a hell of a card. Hey, this is Informate. You're looking more like a duelist every day. Okay then, I'll help you bring out even more of the duelist in you. Let the lesson begin. This chapter will explain each phase in detail. First, the draw phase. This is the first phase. Each turn player draws one card from the top of the deck. A player with no cards left in the deck and unable to draw loses the duel. Next is a standby phase. The standby phase is a special phase. If a card says to do certain things during the standby phase, it is done at this point. If there isn't a card like this, jump to the next phase without doing a thing. Some cards that are resolved during the standby phase are cards with a cost, or effects that can be activated during this phase. One example of a card with a cost is Fairy Box. While this card is face up on your side of the field, you must pay 500 life points during your standby phase or destroy it. Next is the main phase 1. The main phase is when the turn player can freely play cards. First, summoning or setting a monster. You can only summon or set a monster once per turn, including during your main phase 2. There is no limit to the number of times you can flip summon and special summon in a turn. These are explained in other chapters. Although, you can only summon or set a monster once per turn is only true if you don't have any cards in your deck that don't allow you to do it twice or more. Looking at you, your sentry cards. Next, changing your monster's battle positions. This includes flip summoning a monster or changing the position of a face-up monster to face-up attack or defense position. You can do this once for each monster on the field. Also, you cannot change the battle position of a monster that was summoned or set this turn. Activate a card or effect. You can activate as many different spell cards or trap cards on the effect or the effects of a spell, trap, or effect monster card as you want during this phase. Set spell and trap cards. You can set spell and trap cards during this phase or for as many open spell and trap zones you have available. One exception is field spell cards, which have to be used in the field zone. Next, the battle phase. The battle phase is when you can battle with your monster cards that are face up on the field. You do not have to conduct a battle phase. The turn player can choose to skip this phase if they wish. The battle phase is split into 4 steps: the start step, battle step, damage step, and the end step. In this game, the computer will automatically resolve these steps for you. However, there are many cases where you cannot activate a trap card during this damage step, and special rules may apply. It's the same with a spell card. The quick play spell card. Next is main phase 2. Okay, continuing from where we left off while I make a cup of tea. These actions a player can perform in this phase are the same as main phase 1. If the turn player did not conduct a battle phase, this phase is skipped as well. There is another thing you must be careful of. Monsters that attack during the battle phase cannot leave their positions in have their positions changed in main phase 2, even if you didn't change it in main phase 1. However, that depends on the card effect. Lastly, the end phase. If there are any cards on the field which say during the end phase in their text, resolve those effects in this phase. If you have more than 6 cards in your hand at the end of this phase, select and discard cards to the graveyard until you have 6 cards in your hand, unless you have infinite cards on the field. This card Brain Control allows you to use an opponent's monster as if it were your own, but its effect only lasts until the end of the turn. During the end phase, card effects like this are resolved. That concludes my lesson on game flow and what happens during a turn. Hey, you look even more like a duelist. Well then, until next time, dismissed. Well, seeing as I'm ready to go, let's start the lesson. Yeah, well, you constantly borrowing my money just proves that you're just using me for money. A minute. Say that to a gold digger girlfriend of yours. Anyway, moving swiftly on. This game in real life is going to use me for money. That's what I mean, ladies and gentlemen. Yu-Gi-Oh is basically my new girlfriend because once I get my job as a police officer, it's going to be quite the hell of a show, so to speak. I've got 11 minutes left in this recording, just FYI. If I have to do the next part, or the next few, lessons in the tutorial in another video, I will. Well, seeing as I'm ready to go, let's start the lesson. This chapter will explain fusion monsters and ritual monsters, which are different from normal monsters. A fusion monster is a violet-colored monster card. Well, that's true. Fusion monsters are special monsters that go in your extra deck, not your main deck. Fusion monsters are summoned by using the specific monsters listed on the card combined with the spell card Polymerization. As the description of polymerization says, you can send fusion material monsters that are listed by a fusion monster card on your side of the hand. Sorry, from your hand or your side of the field to the graveyard and special summon the fusion monster from your extra deck. Try using polymerization from your hand and fusion summon a monster. You can select fusion material monsters from your side of the field, your hand, or both. There are other methods to use fusion summon. There are other methods to fusion summon besides using polymerization. A card like Fusion Gate will allow you to fusion summon without using polymerization. Next, let's look at ritual monsters. Blue-colored monster cards are ritual monsters. Ritual monster cards are different from fusion monster cards in that they are placed in the main deck. However, in order to summon a ritual monster, you must use the specific ritual spell card along with a ritual tribute. Along with a required tribute. Generally, in order to ritual summon, you will need the ritual monster card and a specific ritual spell card in your hand. Then you can tribute monsters from your hand whose level equals the level of the ritual monster you're attempting to ritual summon. For example, in order to summon a level 8 ritual monster, you will need to tribute monsters from the field or your hand whose total levels are equal or greater than 8. Equal to or greater than 8. For example, 1 level 1 monster and 1 level 7 monster. Or 2 level 2 monsters and 1 level 5 monster. Ritual spell cards have this effect icon on them, written on them. Try to ritual summon. Using the ritual spell card from your hand, ritual summon 1 time. And let's go with Ruin Queen of Oblivion, using you and you. Fusion summons and ritual summons, as explained in this chapter, are 2 examples of a special summon. Special summons, unlike normal summons, can be performed as many times as you like during your turn. There are other special summons besides fusion summons and ritual summons, which are explained in Chapter 10, Effect Monsters. Otherwise specified, a special summon monster is summoned onto the field in your choice of face-up attack or face-up defense position. This concludes my lesson on fusion summons and ritual summons. These are just as important as tribute summons, which I explained earlier, so pay attention. Well then, until next time, dismissed. Let's begin the next lesson. Normal monsters, fusion monsters, and ritual monsters have been explained up until now. This chapter will explain another type of monster, effect monsters. Effect monster cards are orange colored. No, they're not, they're brown, but okay. With the exception of a few cards. Effect monsters do not have any special way of summoning them like fusion monsters and ritual monsters do. Effect monsters like spell cards have effects that can be activated. Effects are broken into 5 major types. Although you do not necessarily need to memorize the names of these types. Let's look at them. First, continuous effects. These effects are active while the effect monster is facing on the field. Command Knight is a good example of this kind of card. Okay, give it a try. As long as Command Knight is face up on the field, increase the attack of all your warrior type monsters by 400 points. That is a continuous effect. Next, ignition effects. You can only use this type of effect by declaring its activation. You can normally activate this type of card effect only during your main phases. There are some ignition effects that have a cost to activate, like discarding cards from your hand or tributing your monsters. Okay, give it a try. Okay, Exiled Force used its effect to tribute itself to destroy 1 monster on the field, however without attacking. Hang on. Let's try that again. made kind of a mistake. I skipped over some of the let's skip over this bit. Now that your opponent's strong monster is gone, you can attack directly. However, without attacking, activate Toon Cannon Soldier. If your opponent has a strong monster on the field and you cannot attack, you can use this effect to deal direct damage to your opponent. Next, trigger effects. These effects are activated at specific times, such as when this monster is normal summoned successfully or during the standby phase. Marauding Captain has an effect that activates when it is summoned. Okay, give it a try. You just summon 2 monsters at once. Having more monsters can give you an advantage during a duel. The monster you summon on the field by the effect of Marauding Captain is considered a special summon. Summoning a monster in any way except summoning a normal summon or set is a special summon. Some cards can be special summoned when specific conditions are met or through another card's effect. Special summoning using the effect of Marauding Captain is just one example. Cyber Dragon is an example of a card that can be special summoned through its own effect. Using special summons, you can place multiple monsters on the field in one turn. This can give you an advantage during a duel. For example, even by special summoning a weak monster, you can immediately tribute it to special summon a higher level monster. Next, multi-trigger effects. There are special monster effects you can activate even during your opponent's turn as long as the specific requirements are met. First, summon a monster. Select the battle phase. The monster in your opponent's side of the field has a higher attack, so normally you would not want to attack. However, if you use Ejection Fairy Lily's effect, you can do this to destroy your opponent's monster. Last, flip effects. These effects that are automatically activated when a face-down card is flipped face-up. This can happen when it is flip summoned, attacked while face-down, or flipped face-up by a card effect. That depends if you're not playing Shadow of Eyes first. Or another card that prevents flip effects from being activated. I can't remember what that is. Okay, give it a try. First, take a flip effect monster from your hand and set it on the field. You cannot flip summon Old Vindictive Magician because you just said it. Flip summon Ryuka Last One Hunter and destroy one of your opponent's spell cards. Never mind that. Now do you understand flip effects? Flip effects are used best by first setting the flip effect monster on the field. And that concludes my lesson on effect monsters. If you want to get mathematical about it, effect monster equals spell and trap plus monster, or something like that. Use them right, you can pull out some amazing things. Well then, till next time. Dismissed. Displaying card list. Hello there, this is in for mate. Well then, let's begin. During a duel, you can select and display a card list of both players' graveyards, bannerstones, and your extra deck. First, let's look at the card list. First, let's look at the graveyard list. You can close the list by pressing the circle button. Cards in the graveyard are generally in the order in which they are sent there. The first card on the right is the card first sent to the graveyard, and the last card on the left is the last card that was sent to the graveyard. If you press the triangle button, you'll be able to sort the list in different types of order. Use this to find a specific card you're looking for. An icon is displayed here showing the status of the card. Cards with a blue border are your cards, cards with a pink border are your opponent's cards. Monsters that cannot be special summoned have this icon. There are several other icons which show the status of the cards in the card list. Let's look at a special card that lets you select a card in the graveyard. Monster Reborn is a card that lets you select the monster in either your or your opponent's graveyard and special summon it. When you use this card, a list of monsters from both graveyards will be displayed. Try it out. By using cards like this, will let you special summon from the graveyard. By using cards like this that will let you special summon from the graveyard, you can bring a powerful monster onto the field. Of course, after doing this, you can still summon a monster from your hand, and you can use the special summon monster as a tribute, or to tribute summon a high-level monster. Use these methods to broaden your duel strategy. Next, let's look at a card that lets you select a card in your deck. The controls are basically the same, but you cannot see the cards in your deck. So be sure to remember the cards in your deck, and the cards that have been used in a duel. Now, assuming your deck has warrior-type monsters in it, use Reinforcement of the Army. By using cards that let you select cards in your deck and graveyard and deck, you can get cards that you can't seem to draw, and reuse cards that were destroyed. This is just one strategy you should keep in mind when constructing a deck. Well then, till next time, dismissed. Card effect. Card genre. Discard one card. Hello there, this is Informate. Well then, let's get on with the lesson. This time I'll teach you about chains. A chain is a system that allows players to activate and resolve multiple card effects smoothly. A chain also refers to the activation of a card in response to another card's activation. If a card's effect is activated, the opponent is always given a chance to respond with one of their own cards. If the opponent activates an effect in response, the chain is created. Afterwards, you are given a chance to make an additional play on the chain. Both players continue to add effects to the chain until they both wish to add nothing else. Then you resolve the outcome in reverse order, starting with the last card that was activated. Basically, chains resolve backwards. Also, if your opponent does not make a chain, you may chain to your own card's activation. If you do not want to chain a card to your activated card, press circle button right after the first card. Now, do you understand about chains? During the game, the computer automatically resolves chains. If you have a card you can activate, an activation confirmation message is displayed, so there is no need to worry. Depending on the order effects are added to a chain, the outcome is different, so be sure to fully understand chains through duel. On top of understanding chains, there is one more thing that is important, which is spell speed. Spell speed refers to the speed of a card's effect. If you want to respond to a card's effect in a chain, you cannot respond with a card that has a slower spell speed. There are spell speeds from 1 to 3. Spell speed 1 is the slowest, and spell speed 3 is the fastest. Spell speed 1 consists of normal spells, equipped spells, field spells, and effect monster effects other than quick effects. These cards cannot be activated in a chain to any other cards. Spell speed 2 consists of quick play spell cards, normal traps, continuous traps, and quick effects of effect monsters. These cards can be used against a card with a spell speed of 1 or 2. Spell speed 3 consists of only counter traps. These cards can be chained against a card of any spell speed. Try to create a chain. 5 minutes left. Hold on, ladies and gentlemen. I'll end this video and start another one straight away.